So during my last video a question or rather a statement arose. The goal of all life is death is pretty overpowered. And I'm going to take a look into this statement in order to find out if it is really true. First and foremost, what is the goal of all life is death? Well, it is a skill that buffs insta-death magic, enabling it to ignore any defense against it. So in other words, once the skill activates and the spell is cast, your enemy will die. Any immunities or countermeasures against it will be bypassed. There's no item, no skill, and no way to avoid this effect. Once the spell hits, you are dead. The goal of all life is death can also be used to buff area of effect insta-death spells. For example, Ainz buffed Cry of the Banshee in order to kill everything around him. So in theory, with this skill at hand, Ainz should be able to solo dozens of fully equipped level 100 players or NPCs, but in actuality this skill is way less potent than it seems. First and foremost, the time it takes to activate it is 12 seconds. 12 seconds where you can't cast any other spells. This warm-up time turns the caster into an extremely easy target. After all, you don't die if you kill Death before he gets to you. So the time it takes to start the skill is a considerable and quite possible decisive disadvantage, especially if Ainz has taken damage before. Furthermore, in case of AoE spells like Cry of the Banshee, you can just leave the area of effect. For example, you could avoid being hit by it by delaying greater teleportation. Accounting for reaction times of 1 or 2 seconds, you get round about 10 seconds to deal as much damage as possible without having to fear retaliation from Ainz. If you seemingly stay inside of his reach and you fail to bring his HP down completely, Ainz might start to believe that he already has won, only for you to teleport away in the last second. In a similar way, you could use Perfect Unknowable to avoid guided attacks like Grasp Hard. And if Ainz would be stupid enough to teleport into a crowd of level 100 players, they likely will finish him off in mere seconds, long before he could cast any spell. Additionally, you could interrupt Ainz's spellcasting itself, for example by draining Ainz's mana pool or attacking the spellcaster during the process of casting, like Shizu Delta did. And she was only a doppelganger, quite underleveled, and she hadn't had 12 seconds to land her shots. So therefore there should be plenty of ways to prevent Ainz from casting. So given all of this, why was Ainz's skill so strong and decisive? Well, it was only as effective in taking out all of Shaltyr's summons because Einherjar seems to be a holy being, therefore dealing holy damage. And after casting 41 supreme buff spells on him, Ainz was basically immune against this type of magic damage. But Shaltyr wasn't aware of this. So the spell can be pretty decisive, but only if you have already prepared countermeasures for countermeasures against it. It can be a great threat in front of your opponent, enabling you to catch him off guard while your adversary is completely focused on the insta-death skill. But overall, I don't believe it's particularly broken, especially if we take into account that insta-revival items are also a thing. And while Shaltyr was restored to full health, maybe due to this item and maybe because she killed her minions for HP via her lance, weaker variants might only heal 75, 50 or only 25% of one's max health pool, but in turn they should be way more common. So in conclusion, in a normal battle where everybody has access to all sort of items, allies and strategies, the goal of all life is death is balanced. Especially if you take into consideration that you have to be a role-playing build instead of a min-max PvP set in order to gain access to the Eclipse class that contains the spell. Oh, and one more thing, and this is just a quick little addendum. I have tremendous respect on how well every name is researched and filled with meaning. The goal of all life is death was originally a quote from Sigmund Freud, and there are so many other examples of this in-depth meaning, and I really appreciate this amount of detail. Anyway, I hope to see you all again soon. Have a nice day. Over and out.